The 2021 Teacher of the Year, David Wirth, is from Millennium High School and currently teaching there, and he is an alumnus of Arizona State University with 29, now 30 years experience. He co-founded STEMCon, uses modeling instruction methods. He does a whole lot of colleague mentoring and has had some extremely wonderful results in his physics classroom. And we're going to turn it over to David.
All right, thank you, Skylar. I want to thank Dr. Jane Jackson and Dr. Bob Culberson from Arizona State University for this nomination. It's been a great honor. I've been so impressed with Jane Jackson throughout the years and her dedication helping to recruit and to support physics teachers. I'm not sure if you're aware of this or not, but Jane inherited a large sum of money when her mother, who was a teacher, passed away a few years ago at the age of 103. Rather than buy a few new Teslas like I probably would have, Jane gave the entire amount to the modeling program to support teachers in taking physics modeling classes and improving their content knowledge and instructional methods. Jane is constantly looking out for teachers and finding ways to help. I've also been impressed with Bob Culberson. He loves teaching and sharing his craft with others. He has a musical background and absolutely loved offering a workshop this last summer to teachers on the physics of sound. Bob has been very supportive of me throughout the years. I started teaching in 1992 at Tolleson Union High School with a chalkboard, no internet, no email, and very little technology. The school was founded in 1914, so I inherited a lot of old stuff, a lot of old physics equipment, a large bottle of mercury, which I used to play with, and a lot of stuff I didn't know what to do with. I enjoyed teaching physics and learning a lot of those first several years. I took my first modeling course at ASU in 1999, a technology precursor workshop. Not only did I get a taste of modeling, but I also received free resources. ASU had partnered with local businesses to donate repurposed desktop computers to my physics lab, and I was able to beg for funds to buy my first physics probes. So we were off and running with data collection. I took my first modeling course at ASU shortly thereafter, and things started to click on how I should be teaching physics. One of my first experiences of using the modeling method was with one of my peers, Javier Melendez. We started a program where we had incoming freshmen take a 3-hour block of math and physics co-taught by the two of us. We implemented modeling strategies and had high expectations for the students. After just 1 year, these freshman students, who were considered average, did very well in the FCI test at the end of the year, and the majority of them placed into the pre-calc math class for the next year. So we knew that modeling was working. The modeling course at ASU gave me a new approach to teaching physics. I really like the idea of putting the students at the center of attention and having them set up their own investigations in order to collect, draft, and analyze data and develop their own physics models. I like the idea of having students own their results by presenting their findings to each other. Students develop a deeper understanding of physics using this process. I also enjoyed the lab practicums and the opportunity for students to apply their models in a real-life setting. It was always fun to watch how seriously students took these practicums. And I often heard students say, "Mr. Wirth, my heart is beating so fast," just before they released the marble. So modeling instruction really transformed my classes, and I wanted to learn more. You know, taking workshops is difficult when you have a large young family and your sole income comes from a teaching salary, and you're just trying to keep your head above water. I was very appreciative that ASU offered a variety of classes, both during the school year and the summer. It's as if they knew about the struggles of young teachers, and they found a way to offer workshops that were convenient, cheap, and worthwhile. So over the next 10 years, I took modeling workshops on and off, and I was finally able to devote a few summers at ASU to get a master's degree. I really enjoyed taking these courses and workshops from ASU, from AAPT, and many other organizations. I found that I could always find some new lab, activity, or teaching technique. This kept me fresh and helped to motivate my students. But ultimately, what has kept me in teaching all these years was modeled to me by a student teacher I had the chance to mentor a few years ago. Let me take you back to the last day of class with my student teacher, Mr. Luna. The students know that this is his last day, and they've secretly prepared a going-away party for Mr. Luna. The party is quite lively, and the students requested Mr. Luna and Mr. Wirth sing a duet on karaoke. They sounded great as they sang. They ate homemade burritos, and drank horchata, and partook in the Mexican fiesta planned and organized by the students. The classroom was quite lively, and all the students had a great time. And the party appeared on many Snapchats and Instagrams that day. And this was the only time in 30 years that Mr. Wirth sang karaoke in his classroom, and probably the last time. At the end of the party, Mr. Luna was requested by his students to make a few comments. Mr. Luna spoke for just a few words before his eyes welled up with tears, and he had a hard time speaking. To help, the students gathered around Mr. Luna and each other and gave him a giant group hug. Let me share that moment with you. So here's that hug right there. You can see Mr. Luna's right in the middle. Tears were shed by both students and Mr. Luna. Mr. Luna left that day with a giant smile and with lots of extra food, gifts, and heartfelt notes. Now, if you were to only observe this party, you would assume that Mr. Luna was pretty amazing. And you would be correct. But his success did not necessarily come from his teaching. As with any new teacher, he was still developing his craft. His success came largely from some of the things he did in the classroom. Stop to share. From the very first day and every day that semester, Mr. Luna stood by the door to welcome the students as they entered the classroom with a fist bump or a high five and a grin. Students began to look forward to this each day and quickly realized that Mr. Luna cared and had a genuine interest in them individually. Mr. Luna also made sure the students were recognized on their birthdays as they were sung to by the class. Mr. Luna took the time to get to know his students on a personal level. He quickly discovered their interests and their hobbies, their struggles, challenges, and successes. Because of the relationships he developed, Mr. Luna was invited to attend several of the students' events, and he didn't let them down. He attended hours and hours of activities after school. Mr. Luna was also approached by his students on many occasions for supportive fundraisers, and he purchased many overpriced candles and stale popcorn. Overall, Mr. Luna had a great love for his students, and they in turn showed a great love for him. Here's one more picture here. This was towards the end of the year. You can see Mr. Luna right there, sitting down. Mr. Luna and I have become good friends, as he's enjoyed his time in the profession. But this last semester, I got a call from Mr. Luna. He was considering leaving the classroom and pursuing other interests. Some of the typical admin stuff was weighing heavily on him, having to cover classes all the time, having misplaced students in the classroom, parking lot duty, etc., etc., etc. We discussed the pros and cons together, and after a few weeks, Mr. Luna called and told me that he made a decision and he decided to stay in teaching. I was elated. I asked him what the final factor was for him to stay in the classroom. He said one thing: the students. Mr. Luna had connected with the students and had developed a love for helping and for serving them. This is also what has kept me in teaching all these years. The salary is not the motivation. The extra duties don't help. The endless meetings are usually unproductive. But when you get a kid excited about a new concept and you see their eyes light up, or you help to influence a career, or you play a role in helping a student get a scholarship or admission to a college, or you get a thank you letter, or just a thank you because you made a difference. You get an email from a former student in college or an invitation to lunch. That's what makes teaching satisfying and enjoyable. It's what makes teaching fun and makes you want to keep coming back for more. My PhysTEC institution, ASU, did a fantastic job preparing me for my career as a teacher. I was constantly fed new teaching strategies and techniques that kept me fresh and my students motivated. I know that PhysTEC's mission is also in recruiting physics teachers and in keeping them in the profession. My physics teacher, Mr. Luna, reminded me of how we do this. We get them hooked. We get them hooked on experiencing the joys of serving students. And once we do that, we have them for a lifetime. Thanks again.